Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins. Before we have a closer look at all the content here in this video, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Doing those three things doesn't cost you a dime and it helps the channel immensely. For those of you that do want to invest more in your game and become a better player quicker, then you can scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link that is in the description down below. Patreon.com/GoldClashTommy. And for those that are looking for more free content as well, our website goldclashtommy.com is the place where you can find loads and loads on loads of free content to learn from. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get to the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also a ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number one. Hole number one, we are going for pin, and here if you do not have enough backspin on your club, we'd recommend to play with the driver that gives you the backspin. So that's the reason why you see me playing with a Thor's Hammer level 6, whereof in the info box I'm suggesting the Apocalypse, because the Apocalypse has more power than Thor's Hammer. So if you do have a higher level Apocalypse, that's the club to be preferred, because that will help you being able to aim higher up. Now you can see me dabbling around with a Kingmaker here also, and the Kingmaker, I would say, may not be the best ball here. Now, in today's climate where we do have a lot of power 4 and a power 5 ball, I would definitely recommend to use one of those balls instead to allow yourself to start higher up and to use less overpower. Now, the ball comes in onto the green and you can see we're ending up being on the right hand side of the pin, but there will definitely be players dialing in this one for an hole-in-one. Fun hole in the mix of all the difficult ones, not maybe of the Sunshine Glades itself, but in general, this is a very fun par 4 to play, because yes, it is a par 4, it's not a par 3. Adjustment max plus 20 is what I'm using. Hole number 2. Here we are going to go for a rough bump. So hole number 2 of the Sunshine Glades to be more exact. 2 topspin and a little bit of right spin. Now the spins will vary depending on what type of wind direction you have. And that's like if you have a left to right type of wind instead, we'd be better off not playing with the right spin, for an example. But here we're trying to catch a little funnel that is by bouncing into the rough. Red ring by the rough line, we are adjusting max plus 10. And then it's time to center the ball and hit perfect. And you will notice here that due to the headwind, we will land a little bit further back than where we are aiming, because the headwind will compress the ball's flight, and therefore we will roll nicely towards the pin. Have in mind though, once again, that depending on what wind direction you do have off tee, this type of setup will maybe vary slightly. Hole number 8 is going to be a par 5 that we've been playing many times, and it's almost always the same type of play, or the same type of 2 play nowadays with all the topspin boosts. But let's take a look at the more normal way of playing this hole, because this is going to be the way of playing if having any type of wind besides a straight tailwind. Quarterback is what I'm starting with. If I would be having headwind, I would be playing with the rock instead, just to give myself a couple of more yards of power, max plus 10, and I'm using a side spin 3 ball, either a katana or a Kingmaker, to make sure that I don't have to go with a lot of curl, which could complicate things if we are unlucky. Bounces on the fairway over to the next fairway, and from here we're gonna play a sniper towards the pin. So you could hear me say that we're gonna play this type of way in any type of wind besides a straight tailwind, and that's because with a straight tailwind we can push harder on our drive to use a club with a lot of topspin to bounce on that fairway that we are ending up on now, and then try to get the ball to green. And obviously the different topspin boost balls and stuff like that will come very handy here if you do have any of those to spare. Second shot, once again, it's going to be the sniper. It's going to be somewhere between medium and maximum distance of our club, or let's say somewhere between minimum and maximum distance of our club. So check where maximum club are, check where minimum club are, and then make a call to what you believe the club distance is going to be. The spins here will vary depending on what wind direction we're having. I like to use a little bit of left spin here, try to avoid being as close to the rough line on the left. The ball guideline short always if there is tailwind, but maybe not this short that I'm having here on the video, because I'm truly going a little bit heavy on that offset. 10% elevation, true distance number, and even though this is a possible drop, I would say having to play with a sniper from distance is not going to be a drop that you're going to drop all the time, because there is bumps on that fairway, there is a lot of things that can happen when it comes to playing a wood club from far distance. However though, hole number 8 shouldn't be a problem to get the eagle, and the albatross is there to be claimed. Hole number 4 of the Sunshine Glades is a fun hole in my opinion. Another short par 4 where if you do have tailwind or you have the balls playing with a lot of topspin, you can get yourself directly to the green. What I mean with balls having a lot of topspin is that you can do a double bounce, bouncing on the pad we're aiming at now to bounce onto the small pad that is inside the water and then try to get to green. The water is definitely in play, have that in mind. In a direct tailwind, we can actually go directly to the small pad, and that's actually less dangerous in my opinion. But here we do have a layup, because we're not using a special ball in this playthrough. So what we are doing is we play ourselves as far down the fairway possible, play max plus 10 on the drive. Spins will vary, but we obviously want to avoid getting into the rough. The only problematic thing here from the left-hand side is the green. This green is weird. It's really bumpy, and it's something that you're going to have in mind. You can either play a dunk, like I'm doing here now, to avoid all the bumpiness and such. If you're playing the dunk, you're playing this no elevation, so 0. And then, rings from min generally, but it's going to be close to min. When it comes to the Endbringer play, you play an EB School plus 20. But again, this is a very bumpy green that we have. So if you feel that you can handle playing a dunk, honestly, from this range, it's going to be the better option of them two, in my opinion. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guide for the Solar States Tournament, a full 9 of the Sunshine Glades. Comparing Sunshine Glades with the most recent 18-hole tournament, Porthello Cove, this is going to be a much more friendlier tournament with some chances for, or like hopefully some chances for some par 4 hole-in-ones. But otherwise, in general, a fun week, as the Sunshine Glades is, at least in my opinion, a course that is very enjoyable to play. For those that are looking to improve your gameplay and also have an advantage over your opponent, sign up for our guides. We offer guides, free-to-play balls, paid balls for anyone that do play Expert and Master Division. So if you do want to join in the largest guide community and improve your gameplay, then do so. Scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtom, and you can find in the description down below. Hole number 5. Here you can see me play with a special ball, meaning a Wind 5 ball. I'm setting up a power 2 min line and red ring by the bunker. And after that, I'm swapping to a power 1 side spin 3 Wind 5 ball. This to give myself obviously the side spin 3, but mainly here by playing from with QB will allow myself to be a bit more consistent when attacking the pin, because the first bounce will not be that high. Because if you are comparing your first bounce with a wood club compared to a driver like this, you're gonna notice that with the driver the first bounce is a bit flatter than with a wood club, and therefore it's going to be a little bit easier to control. Now, this is a par 3 that is generally very difficult, and I think players that do have played this hole before is not really, I mean, might be some that are enjoying it, but like in general, it's not really a super duper fun par 3, because you're often going to have to use a lot of side spin. You're going to have to use some curl sometimes, depending on what type of ball you want to play with. But again, is this possible to be played with a free-to-play ball such as a Kingmaker? Absolutely, but then you're going to have to back up and play with a wood club instead. But this is an alternative suggestion for those that have the possibility to play with a special ball with, as I said, a vocal explanation of how you play with a wood club. For hole number 9 and option number 1, we are going to play with the rock to lay up on the right hand side. The reason this is going to be option number 1 is because we're going to have one play in crosswind and headwinds and one play in tailwinds. So max plus 10, we're using 4 bars of topspin and all the side spin to the left possible. And I'm using the rock here, so even if I'm using overpower with the rock, it has such a massive and good accuracy that even with some great balls here, we will still be safe. The goal here is to get the ball to be close to the rough, but not close enough so we're endangering rolling into it. Second shot, we play with our sniper, and here we can do 2 ways. 1, we can go for a rough bump if we do have the distance enough, or 2, we're going to bounce on the fairway before the rough. And I would say this is the more likely way of playing it if we do have a headwind in crosswinds or maybe a slight tailwind on the second shot. The rough bump, I would say, is definitely going to be a very valid play to play. So 10% elevation, true club distance, spin to be just through the hole in headwind, in crosswind spin to pin, so we're not going in and coming into hot. And then we do have a perfect ball here in the end, and we are obviously crossing our fingers to get this one drop for an albatross. When the camera turns around, we know it's going to be close. Will it drop? Yes, it does this time, and that's a nice one to have in our back pocket if we do have a crappy wind here. So option number 1, we do have a sniper, or like a rock and a sniper play, and then we're going to take a look at a little bit more aggressive play with a very good chance to succeed for an albatross if the wind is correct from tee. For hole number 7 of the Sunshine Glades now, all right, we have to be, I'm thinking I am quite smart here when I'm doing this type of play. So we're gonna set ourselves at P2 min line with our quarterback and katana, 4 backspin and 3 left spin. Now we're looking to just position ourselves. The position is key here for the second shot that we're gonna play, is that we do obviously don't want to roll into rough, that's a no-brainer, but we do want to sit there at the fairway as well. So what we do is that we do make the adjustment, max plus 10. We center the ball, and now we're just gonna ping it down there. Now I want to be perfectly transparent with that this is a conservative way of playing. We don't put any type of water in play at all, and we give ourselves a good look at the eagle from distance because we're going to play into a funnel. What you need to have in mind though is, like, if you do have a tailwind or you do have the possibility to play with high level clubs and a good ball, then you can try to blast that ball actually directly to green. In a direct tailwind, you can, that's actually a quite easy shot in my opinion with very little risk, but as soon as you have some crosswind elements into it, that's going to be a bit aggressive, and you're going to have to flirt with the big bunker there and also the water, and obviously that's not something we want to do. So for me, my mindset is like, okay, if I'm having a headwind or a crosswind, I'm going to lay up. If I do have a tailwind, I'm going to send it. Now we are going for a rough bump here, like rough bump or a bounce down. So we can either then position ourselves doing here from a min line and then bounce up towards the pin. For those of you that do fancy the rough bump, then you can do so also. You can see here that when we're wiggling around, there is a nice little sticky spot there that we're trying to catch. And that's a sticky spot that you can try to catch from the rough bump as well. So if I would be choosing for one route to go with in a tournament, I would go for the rough bump. But it kind of requires like a good ball. It requires a good wind angle as well, because if we're not having that, then obviously the bounce down is going to be the way I'm playing. Now we weren't really close on that one. I guess that's why I did cut off the video in pure frustration, but at least now you understand, you know, how I'm looking at it and what type of plays you can play. Birdie in the end is definitely gonna be not any type of issues to get. Hole number 8 of the Sunshine Glades, we are going to bounce on the fairway, or like the fairway pad, over the water and attack the pin for a drop. Now I'm starting by aiming at the hole, and once I've done that, then I'm applying some backspin. Why do I do that type of extra step by aiming before spin and then adding spins? It's because I do want to have a clear reference with my ball guideline combined with the ring reference by the rough line. It's always good to have at least two references on a par 3, because having just one reference that is clear enough, that's going to bring a lot of inconsistency. Mid plus 10 is what I'm adjusting. Ball comes down onto the green. You know, coming in a tad hot though, I must admit, but it's dropping nicely for an hole-in-one. Have in mind that the spins will vary in a headwind and also in a crosswind. Here we had a little bit of tailwind, so let's say in a headwind we will most likely do a little bit less backspin than what I have in the video, and that's the same with the crosswind really, where a little bit less backspin would be sufficient there too. Hole 8 offers a good chance for an hole-in-one. Hole number 9, here we really want to have some tailwind. Why is that? It's because we do want to reach over the water, rough and sand on the left hand side. Having to play on the right hand side is going to make this albatross chance much less. I mean, it's still going to be a chance, but it's going to be much less likely to drop. So what we're doing is that we use the club with the most power. We use as much topspin that we can. And in this instance, I'm keeping myself with a Titan ball just to show that it's makeable. So I do make the adjustment max plus 10. Then I'm pushing up to max and using whatever I believe then is the needed overpower. Sure, you can go max overpower. You can see how much room we have on that fairway, but I obviously want to use as little overpower as possible to make sure that I can hit perfect as well with that needle. Those of you that have the possibility to play with a power 4 or a power 5 ball should do that. This because you will then be able to start higher up, and that could, if the wind angle is good for you on the drive with some tailwind is my point, then you can stay away from actually needing any sort of overpower at all. Second shot, you can either bounce on the fairway or you can do a rough bump. It's all down to personal preference. The bounce up, the only thing to think about there is that you have to have a little bit more, what can I say? You have to have some distance control, because it's otherwise very easy to go in between clubs. When it comes to the sniper rough bump here that we're doing, you have a bit more room and can kind of smash the ball down there in a bigger extent. Comes onto the green and we're dropping nicely for an albatross. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert division here with various wins. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to hit the thumbs up button before you leave. Scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. That will take you to our premium guides where you can subscribe and start improving your game today. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.